Hello, this is Frank Orlando, and these are messages from my two sisters. Uh, I want to talk about to my two sisters that um, I haven't accused, I don't know that either of you have done anything wrong, but I want to explain some concerns of mine. Um, Here is two situations. I'm literally 3 or 4 weeks away from being totally bankrupt and unable to pay my rent. At that point, I have to leave the house, possibly. The trailer park is closing in appearance, and they can literally tell me to leave at the end of this month. And my situation is that both sisters really don't terribly, in my past experience, did not really want me in their homes. And there is no family member left for me really to turn to. And here is a real scenario that I was sort of there was some suggestion around me at a particular person hinted that they have a group of people that take out entire families. Hundreds of families are completely taken out it was a comment made around me. Maybe I was hearing things or whatever. Anyhow, that gave me a lead on that I should look into my own family. What's happening? So I want to tell you, I have a concern for both you and Jody welfare because I've lost a whole lot of family members. And I'm going to go on into explaining that here are my details. But first, I have been kind of suggested. Jody recently, about a month or two or so, a couple months ago back, said, Frank, when you cannot take care of yourself, you go to a shelter. And what that means is everything that I own a household. There is no explanation in that on how to help me in any way. Not only, so I lose everything I own. Everything I own, I have to give away. And this is a comment you made a number of years back. Is, Frank, do not ask me for anything at all. You're on your own from here on. You're never rude and you're not bad. But this is a fact. Frank, do not ask me for anything anymore. And like I said, about in 2011, 2012, I was almost homeless. I was homeless at some points for a few weeks. Solutions were found, and I worked it out. That was a terrifying moment in my life. You guys did help me, but it was 2 weeks. About 2 weeks, and then I would go from one sister's house to the other. And you would get real impatient and upset with me. So the fact that I'm paranoid, I'm absolutely terrified for my life right now. So here's the situation in regards of my concerns for my family. Now, I have no evidence, and I am not an investigator or a cop that you and Jody have done anything wrong, other than your behavior for a sibling, and our relationship is strangely strained. Both of you seem strangely strained at dealing with me, and your patience is really almost out. So I'm going to give you a couple things that have happened. I lived with Grandpa for 17 years, and we had no problems as far as he communicated to me. He never turned me out. So I have to look at that as something that your patience seems real easily tested. And so and here's a real fact. I really don't have too many family members alive that are in communication that will do anything at all for me. And there is kind of a weirdness. So I have a whole group of family members that lived out in Vegas when we left. And I want to say that not one of them has been in communication with me for some weird reason. And I went out to Vegas when I was 23 to visit with all of them, including my father. And it didn't go terribly well. I don't know why. I did try to reach out to my father, and he denied that he was my father. It was very expensive, and I never made a lot of money. So that cost a lot of money. But I want to tell you that I have tried. I have tried through Facebook to reach out to Danielle, and she will not talk to me at all. And Danielle Stewart, which was originally Danielle Orlando. I also want to fact that Natalie Johnson, I've recently found, thought it was Natalie Rodriguez. Her account looks dead right now. So I don't know if she is alive or dead. She could be my only living aunt or uncle. A father, our father's sister. She's the only one alive out of all his family members. She's the only one alive that is an aunt or uncle on both sides of my family. I've lost Uncle Gene. I've lost Uncle Tommy on my mom's side, and I've lost Uncle Jeff recently, Uncle Joe, Uncle Tony, and I lost Jane, Aunt Jane, which is also, her name is Zoe. I've lost all of my uncles and aunts except Natalie, and she seems to be missing. Athena is Danielle's sister, which is Zoe or Jane's mom. Jane is the mom to her three daughters and one son. So Marcus has pulled his Facebook account off. Marcus Youngblood, he's disappeared or got arrested or something. Athena is missing. Her Facebook account is off. That's a missing person. In my opinion, she's a missing person. Her account, or she's blocked me. I never have spoken to her since she was a child. Athena, Antoinette. And what bothered me, I finally went on Jody's Facebook, Jody, my sister, and she was in town. So I was never allowed to speak or talk to them. That was controlled by you. These are facts. I mean, I was not notified or permitted or allowed. She would just say, well, they're just here for a day or whatever. So I was not allowed or permitted to interact with them at all. That could be their decision. But here's the troubling fact for me, is that Jody told me not to interact with Jeff. And Jeff had some hostility, but I want to tell you, we lived together for a year and a half, and I still care for him, and I wanted to see him right up until the end. I wish that I hadn't been told that, so I couldn't be there for him. And I care deeply, and I am saddened that I was distracted by that. That was really harmful. And also, he would possibly helped me if I got in trouble, or I could have been there for him. So that's a family member I don't have. I mean, these are questions that I have running in my mind. And I want to say that even just trying to tell you this is a waste of time, because it will just be turned back on me. I can't actually engage you and Jody, because you guys got degrees. It will just turn on me. And I want to say, don't be offended. These are just facts that I'm laying out, that I'm concerned about my family. So I lost Uncle Tony and my grandfather. My Uncle Tony is my dad's brother, and Herman Jerichow is my grandfather that I lived with for a combined years of 17 years of my life with him, to make sure that he wasn't alone and that he was cared for. Or could ask something if he needed anything. And I never had a problem. I lost both of them within 2 weeks apart. That is troublesome to me. I lost two family members 2 weeks apart. I lost them, and I tell you, my whole life crashed. I had to leave the house, and the house was sold. that I lived in, and everybody that wanted to pick out things. But the only people that picked out was you, Jody, and Gene, and Tommy. They're the only family members that went through Herman's house and decided. After y'all got what you wanted, the rest, I couldn't keep a home. So a lot of things that was left as trash, I tried to salvage. And it's been a heartache. I've been struggling through life all this time. So that's really troublesome, and I think it's a possibility. While I was visiting Tony, there was a woman screaming, and I just told Linda Nunn, there was a woman with blue eyes and brown hair, white hair, not white hair woman, brown haired, in her 40s at the time in 2006, 30s or 40s, who was saying, Tony, why don't you die? And he had been on a life support system trying to maintain his organs for 2 weeks or so. And so I guess they were all standing there. But somehow my mind did not catch that and question that at the time. And now I do. I mean, because Linda Nunn was there. That's her dad. So nobody questioned that. And it troubled me. And then my grandfather goes 2 weeks, he goes into a nursing home and he dies. And we wait 45 minutes at the nursing home for Gene to show up, and then he goes to the hospital. Now, I want to tell y'all, you and Jody, Olivia and Jody, there is nothing, I can't say that you've done anything wrong. I'm just stating that the real thing is that I'm in a situation now where I'm going to need help. And I've been put in a situation where there is no family members left really for me to turn to. And you guys don't terribly, there are conditions where I really will not have any help. And there were things that were set up by people at my job. And one of the jobs, I had people calling in that were doing things to get me fired. And some of the names are connected to some of the people associated with my family. Not saying that it was that person. That was scary to me. When I was hearing different conversations. So I had a big question mark. But like I said, I hate to think that you would do anything wrong. But I would, if I was in y'all's shoes and I had a sibling brother, I would want to be there. And I have tried to be there for you. I got you here to Florida when you were young to get you out of Vegas. I did try to do little things to help you too. And you are all I have. Offending you and Jody is a terrible situation where I don't get any help. And in saying I am paranoid. I've always been paranoid. Make no mistake, but this is a terrible time in my life where I don't have a job. This is for you. And I want to tell you all I love you. And I want to say, please forgive me. But I have other family members that I'm concerned about. So that I'm really concerned about. And I don't know who is murdering them out. And I don't know that they have. It's just that I have a big question mark. Terrible things with my truck. It's criminal. It's definitely criminal. And it's being set up so that I lose. I could be totally... The mechanic at the time that was there said, you ain't going to be here very long. And you can expect that you won't need this truck very long. And if you did, they're just going to steal it or whatever. So it's definitely a criminal thing. And the mechanic basically, after I ordered for the repairs, basically said some situations that led me to believe that this is a criminal thing. And it's not an accident. It's definitely criminal. And he had no problems letting me know that he had to do this crappy repair job. So that is a absolute criminal activity. Anyhow, so I can't reach Jeff. Um, my mom, right before she died, about 6 months prior, a man came into the rooming house, or a few months, maybe a month or two before she died. Um, there were two men that were waving guns in the house, and I feel like I should have called the police, but they had five roommates, and they were all sitting there. I don't know what the situation was with one guy in there waving a gun. There were two men that were in the rooming house. One had long hair and one had short hair, but the short hair guy was kind of stock built, really strong. I felt like they needed to handle that. I didn't want, and it worked out. But she didn't live too much longer. Then the house got tore down. So ultimately, could have been, and in the report, Mom was possibly pistol whipped, or she had a bruise in her death. And they said Jody had said since she was so dirty, well, Mom was an older woman and she could barely walk, trying to take showers. She could barely breathe with her oxygen tank. So she treated her. The conversation she led the police was, she's a homeless lady. Well, she wasn't homeless. She was in a rooming house that was pretty well fixed up. I mean, it's nicer than my trailer in a lot of ways, fixed up. It was old. It was an old wood frame house, but it was fixed up, painted nice. For her to make that comment, insinuating that Mom was a homeless person, and she was out of line. It was out of line, and she hated her mom. And all the insinuation for hating her mom was an alcoholic, and I just kind of noticed that she seems to find things wrong with me the same way she did with her mother, a reason to not be there, and a form of abandonment. But I mean, Jody actually has helped me more than you have. You have said you cannot do anything with your marriage with Eric. I guess that you cannot give me any money or lend me out or allow me to stay there or do anything to help me in it. Do not ask. And you're always sweet and nice. It's just that I can't rely on any type of assistance from now on. I got help when I first moved in 2019, and it was a couple $100, and I offered to pay you back. I always pay Grandpa back, but I'm in trouble. And basically, what's troubling me is also Uncle Gene's kids have been told not to talk to me at all. So all these years, when we were kids, I was a young adult, and you were children or whatever. You made a decision that you weren't going to be associating with Thomas's, which is Gene's in-laws, and you didn't want to visit Gene's family on Christmas Day anymore. That cut out a whole entire family tree, an extended family that I had been visiting them, and that troubled me. And so there's this situation where family members are disconnecting. I'm sort of led to be disconnected from family members. So I'm really troubled by it. If there is a real intention or motive to separate family members, that is a real concern. So now at this point, I might die. I really believe that I'm going to be put in a situation where I cannot survive this. And I'm concerned that there is a possibility that maybe there is a motive on the part of you and Jody in a way that I don't know, because you're not exactly terribly supportive of me. And I want to say, in saying that, doesn't help me. It's just, and I'm totally vulnerable. If you choose not to, then I will probably die in this next situation, because I am being led to my death. And so I can't actually play this video to you because you'll be so offended. So it will have to be locked on YouTube for the police or anybody on a locked way. Because if I ever played this to you, you will totally not help me from then on. So I want to say that I have no proof that you've done anything wrong. I am just trying to get justice for the family members that have died. I don't know that Eric Hart has done anything wrong. It's just the behavior of Eric Hart and you guys to stipulate that you cannot assist me any further. When I went out to Austin, I was hallucinating or something happened to me. I was not in my right mind, but I did not do anything. I had no intention ever to be a criminal or do anything to break the law. I lived all the way till I was 50 years old and not break a single law. And I went and exposed myself to a counterculture group week after week after week at drum circles and all kinds of things where illegal activity possibly could have been around me, and I was never sentenced or charged with a crime. And that's not from being terribly smart, because I am not a terribly brilliant person. It's from abstaining from doing anything criminally wrong. The only way that I survived is that I lived a very clean, upright life while I was around these people. That is a life of a born-again Christian that lives by godly values. And I absolutely did. I wasn't always Christian-like while I was involved with this counterculture group. I became on a spiritual path because I lived on an Indian reservation. It had nothing to do with drugs, and I enjoyed camping, and I had a good time, and I met, and I really was wanting a beautiful little lady to be in my life, and it was the only way of a social group where I could possibly meet a lady. But I never wanted to do or use drugs or do anything criminal, and I lived a very careful life so that I would not be arrested or anything. I want you to know that. So I don't understand if you feel like I'm a criminal, because I don't. Also, Jody and you both have stated that you felt afraid of me and I'm too dangerous to be around. There's been now that suggestion after my trip out to Vegas. Well, something was done that is beyond my understanding, and I haven't hurt anybody intentionally that I know of. I haven't been arrested for that yet. Another weird thing that happened to me, I've only got a few more minutes, is I got this dent in my head. A black man at United Site Services showed me to do something which led to me getting hurt. I am in question if that was an accident, because they changed trucks, and then my truck hooked up differently, and because of that, I got hurt. That might not have been an accident, and it put a dent in my head. This has happened. It had happened to other people, so I feel like there is a crime, and there is possibility situations set up for me to get hurt at jobs that may not be accidents. That's all.